Best quotes of Charles Darwin. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. Animals, whom we have made our slaves, we do not like to consider our equal. Man tends to increase at a greater rate than his means of subsistence. The love for all living creatures is the most noble attribute of man. If I had my life to live over again, I would have made a rule to read some poetry and listen to some music, at least once every week. If the misery of the poet be caused not by the laws of nature, but by our institutions, great is our sin. We stopped looking for monsters under our bed when we realized that they were inside us. I am not apt to follow blindly the lead of other men. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change. The mystery of the beginning of all things is insoluble by us, and I for one must be content to remain an agnostic. The highest possible stage in moral culture is when we recognize that we ought to control our thoughts. An American monkey, after getting drunk on brandy, would never touch it again, and thus is much wiser than most men. Intelligence is based on how efficient a species became at doing the things they need to survive. Blushing is the most peculiar and most human of all expressions. One general law, leading to the advancement of all organic beings, namely, multiply, vary, let the strongest live, and the weakest die. In the long history of humankind, and animal kind too, those who learn to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. Besides love and sympathy, animals exhibit other qualities connected with the social instincts which in us would be called moral. We must, however, acknowledge, as it seems to me, that man with all his noble qualities still bears in his bodily frame the indelible stamp of his lowly origin. Great is the power of steady misrepresentation. Man in his arrogance thinks himself a great work, worthy of the interposition of a deity, more humble, and I believe truer, to consider him created from animals. There is no fundamental difference between man and animals in their ability to feel pleasure and pain, happiness and misery. Freedom of thought is best promoted by the gradual illumination of men's minds, which follows from the advance of science. It is always advisable to perceive clearly our ignorance. We are not here concerned with hopes or fears, only with truth as far as our reason permits us to discover it. We are always slow in admitting any great change of which we do not see the intermediate steps. The very essence of instinct is that it's followed independently of reason. It is those who know little, and not those who know much, who so positively assert that this or that problem will never be solved by science. To kill an error is as good a service as, and sometimes even better than, the establishing of a new truth or fact. A moral being is one who is capable of reflecting on his past actions and their motives of approving of some and disapproving of others. Charles Darwin is one of the most well-known scientists, pioneering ideas about evolution and society. Charles Darwin was an English naturalist, geologist, and is best known for his contributions in the field of science of evolution. Here is a famous quote from Charles Darwin that perfectly summarizes his personality. "If I had my life to live over again, I would have made a rule to read some poetry and listen to some music, at least once every week." Thank you for watching.